Hey, it's Jose Galison. You're watching No Way Jose. You can find me on No Way Jose YouTube channel, all the major audio podcatchers and Odyssey as well. Credit to Justin Campbell at jcamp1521 for the intro. If you guys are podcasters out there and if you have any podcasting needs, he does stuff like that, intros. He'll do clips, whatever, etc. So he does work like that. So if you're a podcaster out there looking for somebody to help you out, go hit him up. Today my guest is Marc Clair. For those who are watching the public live stream, just know that it's on the 31st. I'm just going to let you guys know, I fucked that up. Basically, if you're watching the 31st, it's a public live stream. Otherwise, it'll go up roughly about a week later. It'll be public. And if you want access to it in the meantime, you have the Patreon, patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. Lowest level is $2, highest level is $20. The highest level are the patrons. My patrons are CD McRae, the Whiskey and Tea Podcast, Jeremy, he has an Etsy at etsy.com/shop/raising liberty, Mikkel Thorpe of the Expat Money Show, and that, like I said, that's patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. I'm not gonna do too much grifting like I do. If you are a Tower Gang guy, we are doing a conspiracy month, and we pretty much got guests lined up for almost every week so far. We have Crypt Daddy tomorrow. If you're watching it publicly, it'll already have come up, but that's only available. Well, it's available on YouTube, but for the most part, it's basically only available on Odyssey now, because if you know anything about Tower Gang, it doesn't stay on YouTube for long. So we'll probably get this account nuked again too. So go follow on Odyssey. That is the place. We pretty much, like, when we do chats and stuff, we pretty much only look at the Odyssey one. So if you wanted to follow Tower Power Hour, Odyssey, all the way. TopLobsta.com. Go check him out. Use Jose at checkout for 10% off. Go get your merch, your No Way Jose merch, Tower Power merch, etc. With that, let's get Marc in here and get to it. Hey, what's up, man?
What's up? How's it going, man?
Good. We've been trying to work this for a while. I was really trying to get you before the Reno shit. That way we could just really piss people off. That way we could get more of like, hey, why are you doing this now? And literally just to piss you off.
So now that's off. At least that's off the table now, right? At least we can just say it's not the timing anymore. Yeah. Can we just brush that off since it's after?
Well, the funny thing is, I don't even care about upsetting some political nonsense.
No,
it's just that if anything, it's more like, you know what? Just because you bitch about it, I want to do it now. Because
I agree with many things you said in your intro, though. I want to echo Justin Campbell is the man. So if you need anything at all, in fact, I'm the man too. I do a lot of that stuff, but take Justin first. You know, he's the one who does a lot of stuff for Lions Liberty for us too. Because we're not doing. Who wants to do their own stuff? Like this is the last thing.
For a lot of people, and there's a Buck, and I think there's a few other prominent ones. I can't recall all of them.
And I agree. Odyssey is the best platform. Everyone go to Odyssey for everything. That's where I want to send everyone to.
Yeah, if you like hard-hitting content, YouTube is not the place for that anymore. We did who would have thought that a March Madness...
Trying to block this light behind me because it's bothering me.
Oh, it's all good. Who would have thought a March Madness style tournament bracket month-long going on, which hypothetical group would we genocide if need be? Who would have thought that would get us taken down off YouTube? But lo and behold, it did, but whatever.
It's always the most innocent stuff.
Exactly. It's just educational material. Normally I'd do like a little intro, but we do have a hard out here. But I mean, everyone knows who you are. It's been a long time.
I don't know if everyone does. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to think everyone does.
I'd say most of my audience knows who you are. But I guess if you just want to do a quick intro, just so you guys know, I guess fuck it, we'll do it. Just who you are, your show, etc.
Should I do the 30-second version?
30-second version.
Let's see if I can do that. All right. Yeah. Ron Paul fan since the year probably 1999. Ron Paul fanatic politically 2008. Started podcasting in 2013 with Lions Liberty. Pretty enthusiastic about a lot of things, and then turned dark in 2021, 2022 or so. And not really, but that's the joke we're gonna make. But yeah, I've started to see things a little bit differently than I probably have in the last 8 or so years before that. I've been fairly vocal about those things, and here we are. Less than 30, I think.
That's perfect, and it perfectly segues into what I want to get into, because I want to touch on your transformation in Dark Mark first, and then maybe we can get into more fun stuff. I do find it funny that you I feel like in a weird way, you've kind of come around to basically almost the same exact position I have, but I in a sort of in a way came there from theory. Not saying you don't read or read theory, but I feel like you also
I don't read theory anymore, but I spent about 20 years doing so. So I feel like I put in my time.
Yeah, exactly. You came, it's almost like natural occurrences kind of brought you here. Not to say it didn't happen with me either, but it was, I just so happened to pick up Konkin around the time of 2020 and it really started clicking, especially definitely helped JoJo.
Such a youngin', man.
Yeah.
I was such a glossy-eyed youth when I first read my Konkin. So
yeah. I'm sure it's been a while. You have read all Konkin? That's.
I wouldn't say I've read all Konkin, but I've read some Konkin.
Okay, because that is one of the. I find Konkin's one of those ones that a lot of people, even people have read a lot of theory. A lot of them haven't read him, so he got a lot more prominent in 2020. I feel like a lot of people came across.
I think if you want to understand what agorism is intended to be, whatever you think of it, that would probably be the way to start. At least that's kind of the modern version of it anyway.
I would say the modern version, I've said this before, is honestly kind of Jason Stapleton's Wealth, Power, and Influence.
That's the more modern version, I guess you might say.
A lot of people don't agree with that.
I think Jason's done a few more push-ups than Konkin, but
Yeah, I would have. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jason has has some issues, I guess. I like him. He's a good guy. But he has a lot of PR issues. A lot of people don't like him. But definitely, so far as the physical look.
I mean, if some people don't like you, you're not doing anything right.
That's true. I'm nothing against him at all. I'm just saying. So far as having a figure.
That's the thing, Jose. Everyone used to like me because I was just so nice and didn't really put my opinions out too much. And then once I started putting out my opinions out, it's interesting because some people don't like me as much now, but other people like me more. So it's I'll take it.
That is funny. It's a good. I guess maybe it's a little bit clunky place to start, but it is funny that the people like me and you to kind of have come to this I guess conclusion that I mean I'm not to put words in your mouth, but I guess we've kind of come to. I personally don't really see much use in politics, and I maybe that'd be kind of where you are at. But God, I had a fucking bite. I totally just brain farted. I saw John Hartman there comment, and they threw me off.
Where are these comments? Can I see these comments?
Oh yeah, it's on the YouTube if you do it.
Okay. Oh no, I see them now.
Yeah. John Hartman, he's on there. God,
John's the man.
All right, let's talk about. Let's just start with the beginning. Where are you? No, I know what I was gonna say. The accusation, the grifting accusation, because people accuse people like me and you of like being like over grifters, and we're just trying to be like, or even like Popular Liberty, and be like, oh, we're so anti the LPMC or LP or whatever, and it's like.
I don't take those people seriously.
Yeah, it's like I can't think of anything that would help my show out better than just fully embracing them. So
I mean,
like I can't.
I don't.
Go ahead.
Like to me, here's what grifting is. Grifting is if you're saying some shit to be more popular and to get more people to like you that isn't what you actually believe. That would be grifting. If I was going to do that, I would be censor myself a little. Got family in the room. I would be S and some D of the Mecox all the time because that would bring me more popularity with the people that were already like kind of on my side, and that would be grifting because that would be being dishonest. Actually, so actually staying the way I was or doubling down on maybe my previous enthusiasm. I would actually call that grifting if I was doing that. Okay. But now I'm just kind of saying what I think, and whatever. If people want to send us money on Patreon or subscribe to us anywhere, that. Good for them. I mean, I want them to, but if they don't, no hard feelings. But it's, we're all doing something here. We're all providing, whether some people want to call it a service or make jokes about podcasters or whatever. If people like what we're doing, they're going to support us. And if they don't, no worries. So no one's forcing a gun to anybody's head here. And, people, and look, I know a number of people have left the Lions Liberty Patreon. I don't know why. Necessarily, because I've left a number of Patreons myself. A lot of people leave for a lot of reasons, but there's a decent amount of them that I know are in the Mises Caucus. So I will postulate as possible. It's more possible I've lost money from it than not, I guess is the point. So I don't think about it in those terms because I'm just gonna say what I think, and maybe what I think now will seem cringe to me in 3 years, and I think that's totally on the radar. So I'm always a little bit conscious of that too, because I listen to myself from 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's absolute cringe sometimes.
Yes.
So, but I think we're always going to see a little cringe in our past selves, and it's just about what do you do with that? Where do you take from that?
Oh, the old me would have loved everything that's going on in that regard. I'd be like, oh my God. I actually was one of the funny thing is I used to be in the part of the problem inner circle group, and I was one of the early ones who really was pushing that, like, no, he would be this really is a thing we should do. Like, yeah, he really should run, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying Dave.
Because why not?
Should or shouldn't. Yeah, and I really did think he would do amazing. And this is at that time when everybody's like,
I still think he'll do amazing.
Well, I do think he'll do amazing.
There are parts of me that's going to love it. Like, don't get me wrong. It's almost like I have to fight those parts to even say anything against it.
Yeah. No, God, I was talking to someone recently and it's like, it's almost in some ways like the Trump phenomenon where it's like, I do kind of love all this because it is make all the people that I want to cry cry, and it's just kind of beautiful.
Absolutely.
Like, so I do love that aspect of it, but in a larger frame of mind thing, I do have thoughts about like, well, I don't know where this is going. The efforts people are putting into it, or maybe they could be used elsewhere. I mean, the same thing kind of applies to Trump. Obviously, Dave's not Trump. I love Dave. He's a great guy. He's the reason I became an anarchist. He's, like I can't talk him up enough. And I do also want to say all these people that we're referencing here, I all think they're doing the right thing. I don't think any of them are grifting either. Just like I don't think any of us are grifting by your definition. So
no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think they're all. I mean,
there might be people somewhere in the midst of all this that are, but I don't know. I don't claim to be a mind reader, so I'm going to assume people are just doing what they think is the right thing, and not call anyone a grifter.
Yeah, and
I have that term has been thrown at me, which is only lately, which is funny. Yeah, because if anything, I was being less. I don't think I was ever been not being myself, but I think I've opened up more to myself, I guess, in the last year and a half publicly. And I think if anything, I was being maybe a little bit less of myself and holding it back before. So if anything, I was grifting for 8 years and now I'm not.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah. Well, all right. I guess probably to back up. I mean, there might be some people who don't even know what we're referring to when we say dark Mark. So if you want to,
these are deep cuts, my friends.
I feel like I mean, if you're paying attention, maybe you'd pick it up by context by now. But we'll back up a little bit, kind of hold the hand of the audience and let them know what we're referencing when we say dark Mark. So I know it's recently blew up in like some Facebook group or some shit where this became a big thing. Although I'll be honest, I felt like that was kind of retarded because I kind of already knew this for a long time. So I was just kind of like, what, were you just not paying attention? I don't get what everyone's getting uppity about. Like, this seems to be where Mark's head was at. Like, I already kind of knew this, and it was just weird that it became a thing that people got upset about.
That was kind of my same reaction. I was also surprised that there was a reaction, and then I probably did. You could say overreact in some ways. I don't know. I finally just let it go. I was like, I just let it go.
I mean, from the bits I caught, I mean, I didn't really go and dig deep into the Facebook stuff, but I watched the your podcast you did after it, and I didn't really feel like you ever were shitty, other than people were shitty to you. Like, there was that one guy, which I've had issues with.
I slung back when slung too, but I don't think I don't really talk about this stuff in a personal way to hardly anybody.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any of this as personal. I see this as personal as reading human action is. And if I'm bored by a couple pages of human action, I'm not attacking Ludwig von Mises. Maybe this isn't the best analogy, but analogies always suck. The point is, none of this stuff is personal to me. Philosophy, politics, this is all just something I'm interested in, something I care about. But unless I'm calling someone out personally, which I don't think I've done at all. Maybe I have. I'm not going to claim perfection. Maybe I have in the heat of. I mean, there is one person I definitely have, but only in response. None of this is personal to me, though. Even the person I've mentioned personal things about, because even that I didn't use their real name, and I could have. So even that's not personal.
Yeah. No, it is funny how some people do take this personally, which it's like we're literally. It's one thing, I get it if you're being an asshole, if someone's coming off as a jerk and acting in bad faith, but if we're literally just having disagreements of approach, it's really why can't I don't know. I don't get, and this has been something I've noticed, especially with some of the LPNC guys. Not all of them. I won't even say most of them, but certain select people. Especially the closer it got to Reno, the more touchy they got, and it really was weirdly reflective of like what I remembered as a kid when like it'd be almost election time for the Republicans and the Democrats. And so it's like, this really is like, you're almost becoming exactly what you have an issue with, where you could have a full on discussion about like why X person isn't really that great. And like, all right, well, we should just not really we shouldn't be really putting that out in the world right now. Cause it's almost an election and we don't want people thinking about that. Like,
and that's actually, that point is actually what did really rub me in the wrong way in the end. I wasn't even thinking about when Reno was, when I like made this post in the Mises group. In my mind, I was just literally I thought maybe like people didn't really understand where I was coming from because I had never really laid it out, and maybe I still haven't really laid it out perfectly. There's no perfect anything here, but that was my approach. I was like, I'll just take your questions and I'll just like respond to them. Like in my mind, obviously a lot of people didn't see it that way. I was just being honest and like maybe I'll do like just it's easier to respond that way instead of like typing a whole thing out. I can just answer people's questions. That was my thought. And then some of the responses were just so over the top to me. And that's when something clicked to me that was like, and I probably did overreact to some of the comments. I'll be totally open about that. But it just made me realize like, oh no, because this is political now. That's why. Because I saw a lot of comments about the timing. I don't know about the timing. I'm like, what do you mean what timing? Oh, Reno's in 3 weeks. Because because it's politics now. Yeah. And I wasn't thinking of, I mean, of course I'm thinking about politics because it's all politics, but I wasn't thinking politically or about timing or anything like that. I was just, and but that's what bothered me. The fact that I felt like, oh, now you're okay. Yeah. That thing you hate becoming political, but that's what this is.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I didn't even know. I kept forgetting when Reno was. And the only reason I would really know is because I'd be trying to schedule with people for shows and they'd be like, oh, well, no, Reno. And I'd be like, oh, yeah. Like, because that's not something
that's what happened with me. That's what came up because I was trying to schedule something with Dan Smots and he's like, oh, just after Reno. And I was like, oh, that's what I kind of thought. Oh, I'm like, oh, when is that? And like, that was right around the same time. And I was like, no, just that. So I even said like, ask Dan Smots. He knows I had no idea when Reno was. And I wasn't like being political when I didn't know that with him. So.
Which, I mean, even if you were, it's kind of like, all right, well, do you have a point? Like, what was that?
Yeah, even if I did, even if it did know when Reno was or was thinking about it, so what? It's still irrelevant to anything I could be saying.
I feel like we're still beating around the bush. I mean, so what exactly?
It's called podcasting.
I know, right? No, it's because I keep wanting to have. I do want the audience to be able to follow along, but it's sometimes I get caught up in my own conversation, just want to assume everyone knows, but. Because I kind of
more fun that way sometimes.
Yeah,
too.
right.
You got to go. It's like in a comic when you dive into the middle of a series and you don't know kind of what's going on, but it's like that's part of the challenge. If you like it, go get 62 back issues. That's what you got to do. So you got to go listen to the whole No Way Jose archive, last 2 years of Lions Liberty, couple part of the problems, and you should be good.
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw you a random fucking comic in the middle of the Watchmen or something, and like, all right,
Watchmen number 7. Here you go. Have fun.
Yeah, you have no fucking idea what's going on. Have fun with that. Well, I guess I'm gonna try this. This might be fun because I do think me and you may be very much on similar wavelengths here. I'll tell you what my opinion is right now, and I want to see how close I am to it. Like, this is my opinion so far. I can definitely go more deep into it in theory, but roughly speaking. I think generally, on the whole, for most individuals, politics is borderline useless, and I don't think it's the right way to go. But if you're going to play this politics power game, you may as well go where the power is. And so, which is kind of what this whole new post-libertarian stuff is in a lot of ways. It's this mix between like agorists and a lot of paleo guys. Like, I don't agree with the paleo route personally. I
tried to join the cartel Patino, but they didn't accept Garros.
Yeah,
answering random comments.
No, you're good. But I don't agree with going that route. But if you're going to play that game, I don't see the point in going someplace. And I get it, messaging is usually what people will say about going the LP route or whatever. Messaging's great, but I'm personally of the opinion that it will inevitably slip back to the old guard. Or the new guard will become the old guard, and because this is just the way incentives works within politics. That's my opinion personally. You may not have that one. So I guess I'm hesitant. I'm trying to hold myself back because I can keep going on autistic rant on and on about different aspects of this. So roughly speaking, is that kind of where you're at? And if not, what's a little bit different?
That's pretty close, actually. I think that's not a bad summary. Like, I think the summary would be like, yeah, I think for most people, you should probably not even be thinking politics until you've got your own shit as straight as can be, and exorbitantly so, to the point that you're not even going to sweat it. You're not going to sweat. I've said this random number and it is arbitrary, but yeah, if you you could just lose your job tomorrow and be set for 2 years, then you should probably you probably need, and I admit that's an arbitrary number I just came up with no reasoning behind it, but whatever. So is everything else people are saying. So whatever.
And even then, at that point, then what are you doing with politics? Go pay off some lobbyists if you're at that point where you're that good at in your life.
Yeah. I mean, it all depends how we're defining politics, but and then at that point, I would think that if you're going to be involved in politics, it may as well be effective politics. That's not really my message. I think I kind of echo what you're saying. Like, my message is really like, I think what I'm trying to shift more to focusing on is really trying to improve your own situations and really to see what's coming and to understand that what we just experienced in the last 2 years was not an abnormality, and now we're going back to normal. It's more of that's the normal that we're going to continue to see iterations of in different ways. And I think a lot of people are maybe convincing themselves that all right, everything's calming down. It's going back to this. Fauci is done and this and that. So we're going to go. And I think, and that's what I'm trying to snap people out of. It's not meant to be doom and gloom. It's actually, I'm more hopeful than ever for me and for a lot of other people that are seeing this. Because I think if you see it and you understand that you can make changes in your own life to be put in a different position, put yourself and your family in a different position, then you're going to do great. And you have amazing opportunities to do great. So I'm not trying to be doom and gloom at all, but I am trying to be real and realistic. And I think a lot of people aren't. I think they're still keeping themselves in sort of dreamland where if we just keep talking about this thing and get on enough TV shows, then the country will become libertarian. And then we will then finally, no, that's, I think the biggest change in me in the last couple of years is I think that's just the dumbest and silliest thing you could believe after seeing the last 2 years. How could you possibly think that after seeing how your neighbors and family and everybody else reacted to what just happened? And if you don't see that, that's why I'm here then, to keep slapping you in the face till you see it, or till you get sick of me and don't want to see me anymore and you mute me and unsubscribe from me. And I'm okay with that too, because I'm just trying to find my people. And if my message isn't resonating with some people, no problemo.
Yeah, the funny thing is too, people will characterize that as black-pilled, and I hate that because it's like, okay, well maybe your perspective is just fucking retarded. Because
that's more a reflection on them than on me or anybody else.
Like, yes, okay, I'm telling you, you can't just go save the fucking world. But what I'm telling you is you can save yourself, save your family, save your community. Save
is it black pilled to not believe in Santa anymore?
Yeah.
If you're, is that black pilled? I don't. Maybe for Christmas it is, but it's not black pilled towards reality.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it.
And even then, it's just like I was saying, it's a matter of perspective. Because it's like, yeah, okay, you're not going to go knock on doors and you're not going to go save the world and make the United States this libertarian culture and like even probably within the next 100 or 200 years. But you know what you probably can do, maybe even within your lifetime or even less, make your life far better. The life of your family is far better, the life of your community, etc. And moving on out from there in circles.
Totally.
And, so... I'm going to bring up TopLobsta's super chat. I do want to let you know, Top, don't ever fucking give me super chats again because you're my dog and you can just say, put this on the screen and I'll put it on the screen. Everybody else.
Instead, send me the super chat money and then ask Jose the question.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I mean, so if you're TopLobsta or a patron.
The fact that you can even get super chats means you haven't been edgy enough yet. Because I can't, we're not eligible anymore.
I take all my edge and move it on to somewhere else. So and that one's been taken down. So although I'm surprised I haven't. I had Jason Rink on and we did I don't know if you've talked to him.
Yeah, he's been on my show.
He has a documentary.
It's awesome.
That I haven't had a single episode taken down or a strike or anything, which I mean, I know it's like kind of knock on wood. I'm probably
that too. I thought that one surely because we hit everything. We hit election. We hit the Kuvi. We hit the whole damn no strikes. But then other stuff that seems completely innocuous. It's like banned for a week. Yeah.
I had an irreverent comedian, Crip Daddy, and then Marcel Dumas on, and I covered the Joe Rogan controversy, and we covered the article. We did a live reading and kind of broke it down. So I literally went big brain time on the N-word and said the N-word multiple times within it, and with never got taken down. Yeah, with Marcel.
That's even more amazing.
Yeah, no, it was great. But what do you think of the culture that MC is building, Dark Mark? And this will kind of lead well into my next topic. So.
Very deep question here.
Yeah.
What? I guess I would need to ask. So if I respond with a question, does TopLobsta ever pay another $5 to ask the follow up? What is the culture that MC is building? What is the culture? I don't know. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not in the Mises Caucus. I've heard that a lot of people say there's a great community and that they get a lot of benefits from the community, and I have no problem with that. Like any way people can organize, but it's interesting that the what I've heard most about the culture. And what people really sell to me the most on has nothing whatsoever to do with politics. So it's like if the biggest benefits you're saying come from this are nothing to do with the politics, then what is the politics? What is that? Is that just for fun?
Yeah, it's this weird thing where I know that that's one thing I've been hearing a lot too, and it's almost like this assertion. Well, they'll be like, oh, we're building a culture and we need this home base. I'm like, what do you mean we need a home base? You're saying you're just saying we need you is what you're saying. Like, yeah, I mean. Sure, that's great, but I don't see it all. Like, I do think this culture is building, but I don't necessarily think it at all necessitates itself on a caucus or a party. And even if it did, I think that's a good way to fuck it up because, like, I feel like that's a good way to destroy a culture because when that party inevitably fizzles out, I mean, theoretically, if that's the case, if all the eggs are in that basket, then the culture will fizzle out. I actually think it's better to have that culture I mean, not to say there won't be political people in it, but to find a way to, if you will, have that culture not necessarily be intrinsic to that. But yeah. So.
I mean, think about it. What affects things more in reality, in the actual material plane, I guess, if you want to say? Is it 100 more delegates in the Mises Caucus or in the Libertarian Party that are going to meetings and voting for things and whatever internal politics, or 100 TopLobstas moving their family from a shitty place to a better place, or 100 Marc Clairs doing the same thing?
I was about to say 100 entrepreneurs, but that's the same fucking thing, because that's what you guys both are, as entrepreneurs in a certain sense. So,
somewhere in this conversation we get to 10,000 Liechtensteins. I'm not sure where, but this is basically where we're going with this.
Yeah. Well, and that leads into the next question. I kind of want to get your thoughts on the Reno reset. I don't know how much there's to say in it. Like I said earlier, I do find it awesome, all the people it makes upset. So that's fucking great. But I mean, aside from that, I guess I don't know, thoughts in general. I mean, I love all these people involved. I think it's great. I'm not gonna lie. When they took off the irrational and the bigotry is irrational and repugnant, I was kind of like, all right, you're kind of talking my language a little bit, but but I still hesitate. So I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, well, as an observer, as the watcher, if you will, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't find this all entertaining. Like, are you entertained? Yes, I'm very entertained. And if we're looking for entertainment, which, despite a lot of my commentary, of course, I'm always looking for entertainment. So there's definitely that part of me that's having a blast, that's loving watching this. Like, of course, I was with a lot of these people during 2018, and I've hung out with a lot of these people socially. So of course, there's this part of me that enjoys seeing them do something that makes them feel good, and part of it makes me feel good. Like, yeah, because a lot of these people, I mean, dude, like, I've probably been more of a defender of Nick Sarwark, not a defender so much of what he said, but the guy's been cordial to me. I've seen him in public a few times. He's been really nice to me, and I have no personal reason to think anything badly of him, and I still don't, on a personal level. His politics and his attacks on certain people, totally, I oppose that. But I mean, my God, I think when I saw the video, I got to the point where I can't even say it. That was just the dumbest goddamn thing I ever saw in my life.
Yeah.
He obviously just tried to half shoulder this guy so he could turn around and pretend. Like, I don't even know what's going on in that dude's head. I don't know if this is all a show. I don't know if he's really a Fed. I don't know if he's just completely lost his mind. That's the most insane thing. Jussie Smollett is so much more believable than Nick Sarwark on this issue. Sure. I mean, just watch the video, people. This is the most ridiculous thing ever.
I love it how immediately, too, the look in his eyes dawns that, oh, fuck, and he sees the camera, and he's like, there's an unauthorized recording.
Unauthorized recording. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not even sure how I got to talking about Nick Sarwark.
No,
because I just saw this video, and I was like, oh, my God, this is what they're... I kind of figured, yeah, maybe someone shoved him or something. Like, I could see people getting a little fired up, and so I was almost like, oh, I hope someone didn't really shove him. That's like, you shouldn't be doing that. And then I saw this, I was like, what? This is what? So
yeah, no, it's at the point to where it's like, the more craziness he does, the more it's like, this guy is either a Fed and a Fed bad at his job, or he's just that pathetic that he's that stuck on a third party. Like it's just getting worse to one degree or the other. I don't even know what to make of it.
I'll give him some layer of credit. It's impressive he even came to this event, because he had to know how outnumbered he was going to be, and he had to know that he was going to get a lot of flack from people. So there's a part of me that's like, kind of impressed you even showed up. But yeah, that's ridiculous stuff. Anyway, but yeah, sure, I like the people that involved. Like, and I've seen this weird thing lately that, I don't know. I said, like, congrats to Josh on Facebook. Maybe I think like Pete congratulated Angela. Like, and I haven't been like, I guess people thought I was going to be mad or yelling at people that I like for, achieving things. Or I don't know, but I've seen a number, I think, as in Twitter. So I know it's probably all small minorities of people that think these things, but I've seen people saying like, oh, all these guys that were criticizing the Mises Caucus, that now they're crawling back, and now they're like, literally, the premise was that we know you're going to do this, and we know it's going to be successful, and we think it's not the best path, and we think this is going to be an even grander distraction. If we thought you were going to fail at Reno, probably no one would even be talking about this, because it wouldn't be worth talking about. So that's just the weirdest argument to me. And of course, I'm not upset when I see like people I like doing well or achieving things. Like, I root for people I like, and if someone has to have a shitty third party that's not going to do anything, I guess I'd rather it be people I like doing the messaging. So that's not really my criticism at all. And I'm not surprised that they took, I will say I'm surprised it was so as sweeping as it was. That was, I thought, I mean, they have everything. Like the party's there, sink or swim. So I posted a meme from Rick and Morty. Show me what you've got. I'm interested. So I'm not going to pretend I'm not interested. I'm an entertainment fan, a sports entertainment fan, a politics entertainment fan. So I will sit back and watch this, but I'll also say what I think along the way. And if that gets me called a grifter by not sucking up to people that would likely pay me money more if I did suck up to them, then oh well.
Yeah, that is funny. You did bring up a good point. That is a narrative I've seen a lot, is people being like, oh, well, now that we're winning, or oh, you guys all thought we weren't going to win. And it's like
literally, that's not the premise is the opposite, that we all think you're going to win.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's been my take too, is like, I always like kind of was open to like, well, maybe they will, maybe some sort of hijinks will happen, but I do think likely it'll probably end up taking over, and probably impressively so. I actually thought they would probably dominate, and I actually think they'll probably do well. I just think that's more just going to suck people up into this thing that doesn't really do much for them. Like, yeah, I know, like,
which is the entire premise. Yeah. That's the whole premise, right there.
I mean, to be fair to the people that I've seen make these critiques, there were people that did say that, but they weren't the crowd that they were kind of implying it was.
I think everyone just gets mixed up with everyone here. Yes. And people see somebody say one thing and they're like, oh, maybe he's with all these other 20 people that aren't even saying that. And then, I guess this is the nature of internet discourse. And
a lot of people don't even bother to see what other people's critiques are. And this was something I said from the beginning. I've been saying from the beginning. A lot of the LPMC types of stuff, the initial ones, and you were to some extent, not so I wouldn't say you're responsible, but it was something that happened on your show, is there would be like, like debates with like the like Archie Flowers and shit. Like it was almost as like
I'm very responsible for that.
Yeah. The low hanging fruit were the first critiques that were attacked. Mm-hmm. But then Popular Liberty, to his credit, this is something he said before, that like, he kind of what I'm saying now, and this is something I'd said before, is that look how the people who get engaged with were the easy critiques, the easy ones to slap down, the low hanging fruit. I'm not saying this is like an intentionally done thing, but like it just so happened to work out that way, where the critiques that were went after the easy ones, the things like, oh, my racism and shit like that. Like, obviously those are easy to slap down, but with people like the Popular Liberties or the Pete's, or the even like me or and shit like or like you, like people, like the people will engage, but it's not this wasn't something that got engaged with till the end. And I'm not saying this was ever intentional. So it's like, it's almost like the critiques that got uplifted were the retarded ones, and the ones that didn't were the ones that were like actually had some merit. And I'm not even saying that
the nature of the internet, I suppose too. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is something to that.
And it probably goes both ways. Like, I'm sure people like me respond more to the retarded people because they're the ones being retarded at me. Yeah. So whereas the private message, and I've gotten private messages from people that agree and disagree. Like I've gotten people that say, like, I'm part of the Mises Caucus that I've known for years, that they still support Lions Liberty, but they reach out and say, look, I still appreciate you saying what you're saying. I don't agree. And it's cool. So like most people are fine and cool, either agree or disagree, but are still good. It's only like those loud voices. And of course those, and by loud, I don't even mean loud. It could just be anybody with 3 Twitter followers. Like it doesn't have to be loud. It becomes loud if like I see it, I happen to see it when I'm in a certain mood, and then I happen to respond to it. And now suddenly I'm the one that gave this person the voice by responding. So I certainly take my own, share of blame.
Yeah. No,
I'm just a guy on the internet too,
Yeah, and there is something to that, which is like the idea that the ones you interact with are the ones you kind of to some extent uplift, and you almost allow the other ones to kind of fizzle under the surface. There definitely is something to that. I want to bring up TopLobsta's. He brought up, and this kind of
is he paying us again? Is he paying us?
This is a good point. This is kind of relates to the culture topic touched on earlier, and I was at Tom Woods 2000. And there were a ton of people there.
I wanted to go.
Yeah, he said we went to the Florida convention and Tom Woods 2000 and had more fun standing outside chopping it up with the homies. Even me being, most people know I'm the agorist type. I'm very vocal about, like, although I'm not cunty about it, I'm not a jerk about it. I get along with all the LPMC guys. Most of us are friends. All of them know my critiques usually, but like they know. But I still go to like the conventions when they're nearby because I want to hang out. Like, but I don't go and do any of this silly voting shit. I just like, all right, you guys have fun. I'm gonna smoke a J out here. So like go do your thing. And yeah, I mean, like Top said, that we had far more fun doing that. And like that is where the culture is. Like, if anything, the politics side is like this annoying little sideshow for.
And that's what I loved about the whole thing. I mean, that's kind of how I got involved in it. Like I started, doing like more than debates in like 2016, 2017. And then it made sense for me to go to the 2018 convention. And that's where I hung out with a lot of the Mises Caucus guys and hung out with Mike a lot. And like, I really got to know those guys and chopping it up, like you said, and had a blast. And I had an absolute blast with Josh Smith. Like he's my fucking dude. Like I love that guy. Like, so it's a personal thing in that sense for me. Like I love these people. So like, yeah, that's probably why, as I started to have these thoughts, I wasn't really talking about it as much for a while, because I like these guys. I don't want to say this or that, but at some point you just see it so seriously that because you love people, you're going to say something, like if you see something you love on a wrong path or something you think is a wrong path, then eventually, even though it might be uncomfortable, yes, the right thing to do is to say something. And maybe you're wrong, maybe you're right, but if your heart's in the right place, then everything should be good. And
and if you're friends with this person, you should be able to have discussions like this without being assholes. And like don't get me wrong, even then
and with people I'm actually friends with, I do. That's the thing. So it's like whatever. The people that it's random Twitter people for the most part that and I'm again equally as responsible because I react too. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, whatever.
All right, I have a super chat from Braden T. The amount of NPCs and LPMC is the same as Gen Pop, and the post-libertarian critique doesn't compute with their program, so they lash out. I mean, that's fair. There's something to that. Yeah, and I'm not even saying there's like like you even said, it's the same as Gen Pop. I don't think there's a disproportionate amount. They definitely have their own. I'm definitely not trying to say at all that they're like Hody John says they're a fucking cult or something. I think that's stupid. Although there are people in the LPMC that do give credence to that. And I generally try
that's
to
kind of the point. And it probably is the minority. So just like Gen Pop, in that there's always that loud, annoying minority that is NPC or I don't know if the NPCs are the minority, but yeah, I mean, I think there is a certain when you get into any kind of like tribe or community or whatever it may be, and you like the people, then you start to form this identity around it. And then if that thing gets critiqued or criticized in some way because you formed your identity around it, then it feels personal. So then you react personal, and then you assume the other person is trying to be personal about it. And maybe this is just like a part of human nature that can't totally fight here, but I think it is the case. And I don't think I've said, other than rhymes with Mac Floyd, I don't think I said anything like to an individual person other than like responding on a tweet or something like that. Like I don't really have critiques of the people individually. It's more my critique that I want to see those people doing something better and doing something more effective and more productive, because I think they're so smart and so talented and so have the right ideas. That's like, why waste your time on this thing that at best is just like to show that we did it, to show Archie Flower, to show Nick Sarwark. That to me in 2016, showing Nick Sarwark or what's up or something is like, okay, that's like a fun project. But in 2020, 22, no, it's a new year. I made up 2020, 22. That seems like silly stuff where I think there's such more serious things that have come to the forefront now that, I'd rather people not be doing the politics, first of all, maybe, or if they are, like you said before, like at least make it effective politics. And I've yet to hear the argument this could be effective politics in the actual sense of power, which is what politics is. So if you're not talking about power, you're not talking about politics. So again, then what are we talking about? Forming a club, forming even maybe a political action committee, which again, you don't need this Libertarian Party to do. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around exactly why this needs to be the way. And yes, one of the critiques is, why can't you just let people do what they do? I can. I'm not physically stopping anybody, but I'm also equally allowed to say why I think it's dumb.
Yes. No, so. I absolutely cannot stand. It drives me so nuts. Some of the talking points that frequently get brought up like that are literally just parroting of other people who say it. And that one's one that gets to me so much. They're like, well, why don't you just go build your own thing over here? And they're like, okay, obviously to some extent, say for example, with like a Popular Liberty with his Praxian thing he's got going on, whatever the hell's going on with him. Obviously, he is literally competing for members with you, and you guys are literally having this discussion because of that. He's literally trying to convince you otherwise. You can't just be like, this is just this dumb
and responding to him about it is helping him in that goal. So if you really don't want to, then just don't respond.
Yeah,
Voldemort him. Voldemort anyone you don't want to help.
Yeah, and even then it's just like, oh, well, why don't you do your own thing? You're like, I am doing my own thing, but I'm also poaching your people, and I'm also trying to tell you because I, would like you to join in my endeavor, why what you're doing is not advantageous. Like,
yeah, look, I'm not trying to be shy about it. Like, I'm trying to do different things for my show. I have different ideas for what I want to do in the next year. And there's a certain kind of people that I think are going to jive more with those ideas. So I'll be completely transparent. I'm trying to find those people, and I'm trying to shake those people out of this larger group that already does follow me. So, when I feel like I have to do things a little bit differently and speak about things differently, I have two options: pretend that's not true and keep catering to those people that I know will just like me more if I just say the same things I'm supposed to say over and over and over, and have the same guests on and do the same debates and just keep spinning my wheels and turn myself into the podcast host NPC of libertarianism. I could do that and it would be way easier, and I'd probably make more money, at least in the short term, on it. But that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to pull out the people that vibe with me more, that more get what I'm talking about. And if you aren't getting what I'm saying and it's just you're not feeling it, cool. I'm not upset at you. You don't need to be upset at me. You can if you want, but then that's fine. You're just not the people I'm looking for.
Yeah, we just simply disagree, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
and all good.
Deal.
We can still chop it up at the events or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's fine.
Sure.
I'll buy you a shot.
Yeah, which maybe I know you've had a kind of a reverse thing where you were more of the atheist type. You've gone more religious over time, but I still consider myself an atheist, an agnostic atheist. I'm not asserting there is no God, because a lot of people immediately go to that. But like, I have over time, like, there is anyone who's gone through that transition usually does, like, because I used to be super religious when I was younger. They have that period of time where you're like an angry atheist, and I've learned a lot from that.
I went through that myself.
Yeah. I've learned a lot from that. That like, when you're that person, like, if your goal is really, no one likes you. Yeah, no one likes you, and if your goal
even
is
other atheists probably don't like you. They're probably embarrassed by you.
Exactly. Yes. Like, anyone who's like especially gone through that phase is like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. But yeah, it's like you're also not convincing anyone. You're just being an asshole. Like, and there it's a how to win friends and influence people kind of deal. Like, like, it's that kind of shit. Like, if you want to like interact with people, these are things you need to figure out. Like, coming at people a certain way, or like, so like, for example, like with the I like hang out at the Florida convention. I don't think I even really talked about that shit hardly at all. But if someone wanted to bring it up, I would talk to them about it. But now, as soon as they got to be cunty about it, I just like, oh, all right, guess we're not talking about it. Like, whatever. Like I don't care enough about this. I haven't formed such an identity around this to the extent that like I have to talk about it. And if it's something that's going to cause a problem, then it will cause a problem between us. I was like, okay, well, I guess that's just not a thing that me and you will talk about or share. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, I'll go hang out with these other people.
Yeah,
that's
like, it's
fine.
just like, I guess we'll shift gears and go to like comics and stuff a little bit. But it's like with friends that aren't into comics. I'm not going to talk to friends that aren't into comics about comics, because it's like,
exactly
why? Like,
you idiot! Why don't you love Watchmen? Like, I don't know. I don't care.
So let's go. I know you have your other podcast. Was it Second Print podcast, or my fucking
right?
Second
Print Comics?
Yeah. Yep. So that's still going on. What do you got going on over there right now? And what books are you reading lately, or anything cool?
All right, yeah. There's actually a few directions I can go here. So we're actually like somewhat breaking from format lately. As we near our episode 100, we've basically the basic format of Second Print Comics is that I am a 42-year-old man, or I'm not 42, I'm 41, whatever. I'm older than some of the people. My co-host, Ramzo Martinez, is like, what is he, 26, 27? I can't even keep track of how young he is. So we come from like different generations of comics, basically. So the format is that one of us will review a story that we like from our guests, like our fanhood or what have you.
And then reading like Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, basically, yeah. We're like 15 years apart. So like we kind of alternate who's introducing a story to someone else. Now, sometimes it's stuff we've both read already or what have you, but that's kind of the idea. And it's more for like maybe, it could be for newer or older fans, newer fans that are so in that they want to learn about older stuff. We also get into newer stuff too. But, we've actually done a few different episodes lately. We did an episode ranking the MCU films. And Ramzo just did it. Well, it'll be released later this week. He just did an episode with his uncle, who is the one who introduced him to comics. Did like an hour-and-a-half interview with his uncle about his uncle's like origin, his comic book origin story. We did a Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness review. We're mixing it up a little bit, and then when we hit, we just talked about this today, so I guess I'll just kind of leak a little bit. We are planning to expand the show a little bit after episode 100, which is about 4 episodes away, because while the impetus of the show was to talk about older stuff and older comics, and that's still what we're going to do, a lot of our fans are always asking us, like, what kind of new stuff should we read? And they kind of they're looking to us for more information about current comics, which we do both read. So it's like, maybe we should expand the show to address that stuff. We do a little bit of that on the patreon.com/secondprintpod. But, we think we can kind of expand the show a little bit and then serve our audience better. So what we're going to be doing is we're still going to be doing the normal show. We're going to try to tighten it up a little bit, maybe not do we usually land an hour and a half to 2 hours per show on Wednesdays. Now we're going to try to get that a little closer to an hour, and then we're going to start doing probably in a month or so, not right away, but after episode 100, we're going to start doing a Friday show, which will be a mix of kind of a newsroom type show, kind of talking about a lot of the news that's going on in comics or in comic film, movie properties, stuff like that. And then also like a book of the month, book of the week type thing, where we'll just talk about something we've been reading of the modern sense. So that's kind of where we're shifting the show a little bit, mostly because, and that's the cool thing about having your own podcast, you can shift it to the whims of your audience. And that's kind of like been the thing that our audience, so it's like, instead of just answering these Facebook questions constantly about what we should read now, what's going on with this, let's just expand the podcast into doing that. So that's kind of where we're shifting a little bit. But let's see, what's the other thing as far as what am I reading right now? I just finished an awesome series. I don't know if you've ever read this stuff at all, but I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan. And most people know it from the movies or the book or the cartoon. Like, I grew up watching the cartoon, but there was just an awesome, incredible series just released by Eastman and Laird, who are the originators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, called The Last Ronin.
Yeah,
and it's just fucking amazing.
I haven't read it, but I've heard reviews, and it sounds so fucking cool. I'm like, that's one of those ones
like
I'm gonna
it's
get
like
around.
If Frank Miller did the Turtles, but it's not Frank Miller. But Turtles are originally inspired by Frank Miller Daredevil, really. So there is a kind of a tie in there, but I don't want to spoil it, because if you're a fan of this stuff, you'll enjoy the surprises. But I would say, if you're a fan of this stuff, or you don't even know you're a fan of this stuff yet, trust me, if you like comics or you like anything that's awesome, you like this. Like, it's one of the best series I've read in years.
Yeah, well, correct me if I'm wrong. I'll give the basic premise, because I vaguely remember the basic premise, and this isn't really spoilers, because this is just kind of the basic premise of what it is in general. That the Last Ronin, it's literally one Ninja Turtles left. I don't think they tell you initially which one it is. You find out later.
I think you find out at the end of the first issue, or maybe even in the second issue. So I won't reveal that. But
there's one that's left. Obviously, it's heavily implied. The rest of them died in some way, and essentially, it's just the last one's just out for revenge and like, fuck you. Basically, John Wick with fucking with Ninja Turtles and everyone. I guess instead of a puppy dying, it's literally all of his brothers. So,
that's a pretty fair summary, I would say.
Yeah. So, which sounds absolutely awesome. Obviously, sad that they all died, but the coolest thing I could probably think of. All right. Well, you know what? I saw a take you had the other day, and it drove me nuts. You said you were super stoned when you watched it, though. So,
I know.
I was stone cold sober. I watched the two.
Well, I actually wasn't stoned. That's the thing. That's why I was like, I don't think I watched it in the morning, which doesn't necessarily mean I wasn't, but I wasn't.
What did you think that was redeeming about the Kenobi series? I've only watched 2 episodes. To be fair, I will preface, it could redeem itself, but God, it was awful. Nothing was inspiring to me. I wouldn't say awful. It was like a solid 5 for me. But it's like, if you're going to mess with a legacy character like that, you got to knock out of the park or just not do it at all for me.
I think that's totally fair too. And trust me, there's things I didn't like about it, but I think I'm still in the phase, and maybe like if I have 5 more years of this, that it'll calm down a little bit. I'm still in the phase that when I visually see stuff in Star Wars way, and it looks like Star Wars and feels like Star Wars, I just kind of am and I kind of like it, even if I don't think it's great. Like Boba Fett series, I didn't think it was that great. And there were the 2 best episodes were the 2 episodes that weren't even about Boba Fett. They were the best Mandalorian. They were season 3 of the Mandalorian. So I certainly have my criticisms of that. That being said, I still think it was awesome, because I just love the visual and the feel of Star Wars, which they really did nail. And I think part of this enjoyment, they did this amazing recap in the beginning, recapping the prequels, which I think made the prequels look like so much cooler than they actually were. Although I think the prequels have grown on me in recent years, especially in light of the J.J. Abrams experiment. But I guess maybe just I really love Ewan McGregor. I think it's pretty interesting, the thing where he's kind of out of the Force, and he's trying to find that. I think I'm invested in that aspect of the character arc. And yes, I totally hate this Reva character, and not in the good way, not in the way that I'm supposed to like hate. I hate that character, and I hate Disney's woke little like, oh, if you didn't like this character, then obviously you're racist. Like, okay, you've Lando Calrissian and beyond. There's been like stop it. That drives me nuts too.
So many good minority characters.
And so they're acting like this. They're acting like they're breaking new ground here. I'm like, what are you talking? You've had minority characters since the inception of Star. Like, this is just nonsense. And look at all those aliens. They're all minorities too in their own ways. So just stop it. Chewbacca's a minority to me. But anyway, the point is, I mean, I think your criticisms are fair. Leia was kind of annoying, but like in a way that I thought she was supposed to be a little annoying. I don't know, because she's supposed to be a little princessy. It's probably not the best Star Wars show. It's certainly not as good as The Mandalorian. I guess I'm kind of a hopeful optimist on this stuff. And I'm just like, I just enjoy the ride, and I don't think about it too deeply. But fair enough too. Like I can't really make strong counter arguments to the things you're saying. Like what's his name? Camille, whatever the hell. That was kind of cringe. It is the same character he plays in everything. But whatever. It's just, I guess I just have my standards at a certain place for this stuff, and unless they're just way below my expectations, then I roll with it. So
yeah,
we'll see.
He was probably honestly my favorite part of the show, and that's not to say
he's entertaining.
Yeah, it was just that like, and I get it, it's the same character and everything. But like, oh, at least he's entertaining. Like, although there was that one scene at the end with Reva where it was just stupid, and it was like this.
Tino has the best comments. Justified strike on Alderaan.
Yeah, no, for real.
After seeing Princess Leia as a 10-year-old, yeah, you might be right.
Okay, on her, like I get it. She's supposed to be princessy and she's supposed to be smart, and they're implying she's like really hip with the force,
and has some force that she's not really into, even though that was never implied. Here's one thing that bothers me. And maybe they'll explain this later. Maybe they'll like wipe her mind at the end or something like that, so she can't tell other people about Jedi. But like, in Star Wars, in theory, shouldn't she been like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, remember me? We had that adventure together where you saved me, and we went there and we met that Camille guy, and
yeah, no, God, but like I get they're trying to make her like smart, but they made her annoyingly smart, but then also at the same time insanely stupid. And she's supposed to be 10. They dated her at 10, and I have a 9-year-old, and she's far fucking smarter than that kid. Although there were like weird things the kid would do that was smarter than my 9-year-old would do, but then like shit like when they were running away, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're not I don't even know who you are," and like freaking out and like, "You're gonna get killed, you dumb bitch." like I know, stuff like that. Like my 9-year-old would never do something like that. I can't even imagine. The writing on the show personally was awful. I don't know. I could rant on it. It was, I don't know. But once again,
I can't really counter any of your criticisms either. I'm just kind of like, I'm along for the ride. I try not to think about it too hard, but I'll think about it harder because I actually watch all these twice. I watch it once to just enjoy it, and I watch them again because I do a podcast, a Patreon-only podcast for Second Print Pod, where we recap all this stuff with Dan Smots, kind of a crossover review with the System is Down Patreon too. So if you subscribe to either Patreon, you will get those reviews where I will maybe dive into these criticisms a little further.
Yeah, well, holler if you need a third voice, because I have a lot to say.
We'll keep that in mind. Yeah, we could do a three-way. We could put them on your Patreon too. Toss it everywhere.
It's not gay if it's a three-way. But no, yeah, it was. I don't know. I definitely
gotta subscribe to all three Patreons to get the real three-way show.
Exactly, but yeah, no, it. It was just. I don't know. It's something else. I mean, but to be fair, with Mandalorian, for me personally, I think after the first like 3-4 episodes, I actually tuned out initially. And it wasn't that it was like, this is bad. It was just that like, I don't watch a lot of TV or movies at all. Like really, that's the only show I've watched.
I pretty much only watch stuff that I have to cover it in podcast form. That's literally about it.
I mean, I catch some essential nerd stuff. Like I wasn't going to miss Kenobi. Like I don't cover it, but I was like, I have to at least watch it.
Yeah. But I just have to know what to angrily tweet about. Nothing else.
But I don't know. I tuned out of Mandalorian about like a third of the way in because I was just like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good enough for me to keep going. And
it does become very formulaic. Yeah. It's like, okay, he's trying to send the guy somewhere, but first we need some help, and we got to do another adventure to help someone else for something, and then we can move on and do it again.
Yeah. And I got dragged back into Mandalorian. It ended up being amazing. I love the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was great. I think it was one of the best, like, weird father-son, beautiful, like shows there was. Like, I don't know. It's like, and not to sound like sappy, but it genuinely is a beautiful show. Like, emotionally, like, I don't know. Like, it touched on something. Maybe it's because I'm a dad, I'm sappy. But I'm not gonna lie, I cried at the end with the whole Luke thing.
Oh yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, and it's just because me with having kids, I was like,
I wouldn't say full cry, but there was some welling.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like pitiful crying, but it was like kind of like man tears.
I cried as much as Pedro Pascal did when he was getting sad about Baby Yoda, basically.
But with that, I'm almost at your heart out, so I want to respect your time.
I'll do a solid 4. So
yeah, if you want to go ahead and drop your plugs, and I'll go ahead and get you out of here.
Oh man, there's so many plugs. Well, Lions Liberty has my show, of course, on Mondays. We also have Brian with his newly relaunched show, Mean Age Daydream. A little bit of a different take on things that he's going with there. And then John Odermatt with Finding Freedom. We can get them all on the Lions Liberty Network. You can also subscribe to those shows individually. You can just look up Lions Liberty with Marc Clair, Mean Age Daydream, Finding Freedom, individually, network feed, whatever you want to do. And patreon.com/Lions Liberty. Let's see what else. Secondprintcomics.com. You can find that. Look it up. Second Print Comics everywhere. You find we're basically at Second Print Pod everywhere. So Instagram, Twitter, patreon.com/secondprintpod. Let's see. I also have a Substack, marcclair.substack.com. It is now called, I rebranded the Substack. It's called The Watcher Speaks, since I have decided to brand myself as the Watcher of the Liberty Movement. So that's my Substack. And I think that covers it.
Yeah, definitely go check that out. I have your Substack.
And follow me on Twitter at Marc D. Clair, Marc with a C, the letter D, CLAIR, because that's pretty much at this point where most of my activity is.
Yeah, I only follow 2 Substacks, and I'll be honest, I don't follow them very well because I'm such a busy guy. I very rarely have time, but I literally only follow 2, and it's you and it's Pete.
I got to put out more content then, because Pete's definitely outpacing me.
Yeah, I only catch every now and then, but if you're someone with more time, definitely. If you're someone who likes that kind of stuff, both you and Pete usually write short little bits, so those are great stuff to follow, and that's kind of why I do have yours. So it's not something that sucks up a ton of time. But with that, this is No Way Jose Show. You can follow me on YouTube, all the major audio podcatchers, Odyssey. Follow me on Twitter at 2020 No Way Jose. I like money too, just like Mark does. So patreon.com, just No Way Jose 2020. Like, share, subscribe.
Lean into the grift, baby.
Oh yeah, no, I grift like crazy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Grift. And when I say that, I mean ironically. There's 2 different types of grifting. I say what I mean. So technically not grifting by your definition, but I like to lean into it because people accused of grifting. I'd say, okay, Chad, yes, and that's it. And with that, we are out. I appreciate your time, Mark. Hopefully we can talk again sometime soon, and I'll let you go.
Been a blast.
Thanks again, everyone.